weekly is here, and that means it's a weekend series with the Chicago Cubs inside the National League Central Division. Cardinals find themselves in first place ahead of Cincinnati after a sweep, and what a sweep it was. Cubs and Cardinals tonight in Game 1. Along with Al Rabosky, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jake Westbrook will get the start for the Cardinals, and in his 2 starts, he's had a chance to win both games.
That's right. He's been very good. 2 quality starts. He left the first one with the lead, struck out 7 in that ball game. That was a little bit surprising, but he had more in store for us. He is a sinker ball pitcher, so you'd think you're going to get a lot of ground balls, but so far he's been a strikeout pitcher. Here at Florida, he tied his career high with 9 strikeouts, and the bullpen's kind of let him down a little bit, but he has not let down his teammates.
If you missed some of that great action this past week, we'll give you some of the top highlights from the Cardinals and Reds. Oh, what a series it was, and a sweep for St. Louis. Back with more in just a moment. Tonight, it's the Cubs and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis. As promised, some of the top moments from this past series against Cincinnati. And, of course, that was highlighted in Game 1 Monday, the first career grand slam for Cardinals second baseman Skip Schumacher. And look at this. Right away, Molina and Phillips. Bench is clear. Don't get hurt. Look at this.
Well, most of them are trying to separate it, but this is where you do get stepped on.
3-2 pitch. Molina hits it out to deep left field. At the track, it's at the wall. How about that? How about that? Here's a 1-2 pitch. Votto, swing and a miss. There's a strikeout.
Wainwright mowing right through the red.
Curveball and carved him up. 3 pitches, see ya. Chopped right side. Schumacher to Franklin. It's a sweep in Cincy. Cardinals and the Cubs. Let's take a look at some of the walk-off moments in the last 10 years.
When I tell a story about the home run, I like to, tell people that, it was my Roy Hobbs moment, like in The Natural when, at the end of the movie he hits the home run to right field and the lights shatter and stuff like that.
Cardinals win! How about that celebration after drawing a base on balls? Here's a 1-1 pitch.
Squeezes on. Eckstein gets it down, and the Cardinals win it. David Eckstein, a hero tonight.
You know it was going to come down to like a one-run type of game, and fortunately we won.
Swing and a base hit in the left center. Here comes Preston Wilson. The Cardinals winner on a base hit by Gary Bennett. Swing and a low one. Did he get enough? Get up, baby. Holy mackerel. He has done it again. A grand slam home run by Gary Bennett. He is just simply amazing.
To do that back-to-back nights, I swung and he hit my barrel. Basically, is all that happened.
Swing and a line drive base hit. 1 run in. Here comes Duncan. The Cardinals will win this one on a base hit by Mr. Ankiel.
That inning, we just kept getting runners on, kept getting hits off of Kerry Wood, and it came up my turn, and you're like, all right, I don't want to be the guy to make the last out.
Asturis puts it in play. Ground ball hit the second, play at the plate. Save! And the Cardinals win it! The Cardinals win it on the slide by Brendan Ryan. 4-3. Schumacher. First pitch to him.
That's it.
Drive into right field. And it's a winner. A walk-off winner again for Schumacher. The home run.
It was the best feeling I've ever had, personally, selfishly. That's the best feeling I've ever had. And I've had walk-offs before, base hits. That's kind of my MO is the base hit anyway. So to have a walk-off home run against the Cubs, there wasn't a better feeling in the world.
The 3-1 pitch on its way. Holiday lifts it out to deep right field. And this is gone! It gets over the wall! Welcome to the Cubs-Cardinals rivalry. Matt Holliday, a line drive, walk-off homer.
Well, it's exciting, I've only had a couple of them in my career, and when you get a chance to hit a walk-off home run, it's a really cool feeling. Other than hitting a home run maybe in the playoffs or something like that, it doesn't get much better than that. Especially against the Cubs and in a big game and games that we needed to win to help us make it to the playoffs. It was quite a feeling. It was pretty neat.
Wonderful moments. Will we have another hero tonight? It's a hot night for baseball. It's just around the corner, the Cardinals and the Cubs. The Cubs and Cardinals. John Jay swinging one of the hottest bats of any rookie in the major leagues. He'll bat second tonight and play right field. Stay cool any way you can. It's a hot one here in St. Louis. Game 1, Cubs-Cardinals next. The drinkability of Bud Light with a refreshing taste of lime. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. By Steak and Shake, life needs flavor. And by Chevy's expert auto service. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. That is the place to be, one of the party rooms here tonight. The air-conditioned party rooms, we should say, on a hot, steamy night in downtown St. Louis. Along with Al Rabowski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. There's a look at Lou Piniella. And his lineup reads like this. Kosuke Fukudome, their right fielder. Then Starlin Castro and Derek Lee. Marlon Byrd, Blake DeWitt, Alfonso Soriano, Darwin Barney, Coy Hill, and Thomas Diamond, who is winless this year. Winless so far with the Cardinals, Jake Westbrook. And his numbers provided by Marshall Wireless Sprint.
He's never ever faced the Cubs, but he has pitched well in his first 2 starts against the Cardinals. 2 no decisions, but both quality starts.
Jim Reynolds says, let's play ball, and here we go. First pitch is taken right down the middle for a ball a little bit low by Fukudome, who's hitting .262, 10 home runs, and 30 RBIs.
You repeat those pitches right there, and they were identical. One called the strike, one called the ball. That you're going to win, because those are going to be ground balls from a ground ball specialist.
On the outside corner, 1-2. Where are the Cubs going? They're 48-67 this year. And you have to wonder about a number of these players. What may happen as time was not granted. Pujols is there and steps on the bat. I like that. Jim Reynolds said, hey.
Absolutely.
He's in the middle of his windup. Time was not granted, and Westbrook did the right thing by completing the pitch.
Exactly right. We say this all the time because a pitcher can hurt himself if he tries to stop his motion when you get to that extreme, and it's up to the batter to ask for time, but it was not granted, so at least Fukudome got in there and felt like he at least got half a swing.
I think Starlin Castro just tapped Javier Molina on his shin pad, but we don't have the benches clearing tonight.
Well, this young emerging star had never said anything about the Cardinals, so then it's kind of a sign of hello.
Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. He started with a bang. had one bad month. A lot of people thought, okay, he said he went below 200 for that month. Maybe he'll get sent back down, regroup, and then he comes back out and it's 340 last month. So this guy is a star in the making.
Absolutely. He's only 20 years of age. He said that first game, first at bat, hit a 3-run home run in Cincinnati. That was in May. Look at the second half numbers. Matter of fact, if he had 17 more plate appearances, he would be batting third in the National League with his 320 average.
And that'll get there before it's all said and done.
Right.
So he'll be in that top 10.
Yeah, you really need about 3 plate appearances per game, and obviously playing every day. He's only missed 1 game.
1-2 pitch. Check swing did not go. 2 balls, 2 strikes. This is one of the young players that the Cubs feel they can build around, as they are trading away a number of their stars from the last couple of years and teams that made it into postseason play.
They now have 15 rookies on their roster. And this is a keeper. But they have got so many young players.
And a ground ball past Brendan Ryan into center field. Didn't get the strike call on the breaking ball, went to 3-2, and then had to throw one down the middle, and it's a base hit. Holiday, Rasmus, and Jay in the outfield. Lopez, Ryan, Schumacher, and Pujols along the infield. And the battery tonight, Jake Westbrook and Yadier Molina.
I mentioned Westbrook, one of the top ground ball specialists in the major leagues. So he'll give up his share of ground ball base hits. But you always have the potential for the next hitter to hit into a double play. Good to see Derek Lee back. He just returned from bereavement leave.
Derek is a free agent to be. Turned down a potential deal to the Angels. Wants to finish up this year with Chicago, and he has made it known to the Cubs personnel he would love to come back, but that may not be in their plans.
Mentioned they traded a lot of their veterans. They tried to trade Derek Lee, who's from Northern California, Sacramento. A little surprising he didn't want to go to Anaheim. But some of the remaining veterans are guys that they just couldn't unload.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, and a runner at first. Lee hits it into right field. Jay on the move. He won't get it. Castro on his way to third. Jay quickly gets it back in. Schumacher will put it in his back pocket. They'll hold up Castro, and Marlon Byrd will have a chance to do some damage here in the first.
Derek's hit right at 300 the last few weeks. And here he rifles one out there. Down and away. Big man, great reach. And he just slices it away from Jay. Castro goes on to third, but you have to hold him up.
One of the positives for the Cubs this year, all-star Marlon Byrd. He's been a good signing. Did that in the offseason. And you think about a center fielder, usually a superstar and a guy that makes a lot of money. Very reasonable. 3 years and $15 million.
And a model citizen. He's hit safely in 14 of his last 16 games.
Pitch to Byrd. Broken bat, base hit. 1 run is in. Here comes Derek Lee. They'll wave him in. 2-0 Chicago here in the first. Byrd with RBIs 51 and 52. Three consecutive hits after the leadoff man Fukudome was retired.
Tried to come in on him. That ball just running a little bit. Jammed him, but he just muscled it out there. Unusual that Westbrook, of the 3 hits, 2 of them have been in the air.
Blake DeWitt, former Dodger.
Came over from the Dodgers in July 31st trade for Lilly and Terrio.
DeWitt is at third base. They've got $50 million tied up with Zambrano, Ramirez, and Soriano for the next couple of seasons. That's 50 per year. DeWitt, fair ball. Third on his way to second, now on his way to third. Blake DeWitt trots into second base with a double standing up. 4 consecutive hits for the Cubs.
Another ground ball, but just perfectly placed right over the first base bag and into the corner. With a drop on that pitch. And Albert really doesn't have a shot. Momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher, but this is what we cautioned after the sweep of Cincinnati. You know, you have to just come back out and play great baseball for the next series.
Soriano backs away from a pitch. By the way, Jason LaRue has been put on the disabled list, and it's backdated to August 4th, which is technically before he was injured by Johnny Cueto's cleats.
Backdated to the last appearance. So move it to. So last time he performed was August 3rd, so you can backdate it there 15 days. And have we seen the corresponding move, or is that just adding Loesch? We'll start on Sunday.
Well, Loesch will go Sunday, and then this is tapped slowly to third. Lopez and Nick Stabanoa has been called up, and then they'll have to make the move on Sunday, obviously, with Loesch.
You talking on a cell phone?
Middling the middle. Cubs 3, 4, and 5 batting spots, and the ranks in 2010, and that's one of the reasons why they are 48 and 67. But tonight, 3 for 3 with a couple of RBIs.
And that is amazing, right? And Ramirez has been out of the lineup for Luke Piniella, who he himself has returned as he's been attending to his mother, and he told me got her home from the hospital. She's 90 years of age.
Some people have said, Al, why not, say to Lou, we appreciate it, we're going to pay you, but if you're stepping aside, we may want to get somebody in here to take a look at this team.
In my mind, and I'm a real Piniella fan, but since he is going to hang it up after this year, it would give the organization a chance to, to turn it over to somebody else, whether it's, turning it over to Sandberg, who's their AAA manager. There is talk that, their number one choice would be maybe, Girardi, but, is he going to be available? He's got his team in first place, the Yankees.
A lot of facets to this story. Joe Girardi, after the Yankees had won 3 straight championships as a player, had a chance to go back to New York and then went to Chicago. He grew up in Peoria, and he said his fondest, went to Northwestern. He said his fondest memories were being with his father and driving from Peoria down 55 to Chicago and having a chance to see the Cubs. Now, you leave New York and you say you're leaving a great situation, obviously, but he's one of many guys that has won in New York. You win in Chicago, whole new ballgame, different story.
Well, with New York comes a lot more pressures, even in a big media town like Chicago.
Lou Piniella has even said that this job was a lot harder than he thought. It really will wear a manager out, managing the Chicago Cubs.
Well, remember when we were in New York, Bill Madden has written a book called Steinbrenner.
2-2.
And I've got about one more chapter left in it, and Tim McCarver and I were in Lou's office. Timmy's already read it. Lou does have a copy of it, and we were telling him how prominent he is throughout that book, and Lou was telling us a couple stories that didn't get in the book.
I can only imagine.
But I mean, they were great. and clean.
A fly ball out to left. Cubs will only get 2. Westbrook will strand 2. And the Cardinals coming up in their half of the first. The bottom of the first here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Cardinals lineup: Felipe Lopez, John Jay, and Albert Pujols. Matt Holliday, Colby Rasmus, and Yadier Molina. Skip Schumacher, Jake Westbrook, and Brendan Ryan. Thomas Diamond, who lasted 3 innings in his last start, is 0-2 in 2 starts this year for Chicago.
First time in history someone named Diamond has reached the major leagues. As you mentioned, his first start, he struck out 10 Milwaukee. But he threw 122 pitches in that game. Really didn't bounce back well. And lasted just a handful of innings against Cincinnati. Lou thinks he'll be a little better tonight.
And a strike at the knees.
Meaning that, you know, we got knocked out early, so he have a lot left in the tank and expects to see much more from the right-hander. It was a big
#1 strike.
#1 draft pick, or former #1 pick for Texas Rangers, and big prospect coming through. Then had Tommy John, and the Cubs claimed him off of waivers last season.
They had R.A. Dickey. They've had a lot of different guys come through Texas.
He was an all-star this year for Iowa.
The pitch is up and a fly ball out to Soriano, has to back up to make the catch. Standing room only as Busch Stadium is filling up. A look at the defense behind Diamond. Soriano, Bird, and Fukudome. Presented by Dobbs, DeWitt, Castro, Barney, and Lee. And the battery for the Cubs, Diamond and Coy Hill. Huge crowds all weekend long. I want to remind folks, September 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the Reds will be here. Labor Day weekend, and I'd like to see this place packed. As Al's buddy Brandon Phillips will be here.
Right now, I do like Brandon Phillips. He did something to excite the Cardinals and ignite them into 3 great games.
The pitch is up and fouled back by Jay, 1-2.
By the way, you know, in that series, the Cardinals, and there you see Patini, who is fielding the ball club, managing the ball club, as Tony is serving his 2-game suspension, as well as Dusty Baker tonight.
Strikeout the first of the night.
And, you know, for managers, there's no appeal process.
Let's recap the Cincinnati series. Cardinals swept them. Starters ERA outstanding. Relievers did their job. The team average over 300 and 7 runs a game. That's what happened between the white lines. Behind home plate, different story in the newspapers. 2 outs, and here's Pujols.
I was going to say, Tony employed the same lineup all 3 games in Cincinnati and a game here tonight, with the exception of the starting pitcher. That's the first time.
Look at this. Center field. At the track. At the wall. How nice is it to be back at home? Pujols connects. Number 29.
Second in the National League in home runs. First in RBIs. 5 away from 400 in his career. He's hit the most home runs the first 10 years of a career, up to now 395.
A 2-1 game. Here's Matt Holliday. The sweet swing of Albert Pujols.
And I was told that Diamond has a 4-seam fastball, a little righty fastball that is pretty straight. And you would think with the warm weather here, a very fair ballpark, but that really means probably he's a fly ball pitcher. And when you're throwing to the big guys, they've got a chance to drive that ball out.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. And a strike to Holliday. He strikes out 2 in the inning. But Pujols connects with number 29. RBI number 85, and it's 2-1. Tim Bradley, Brandon Phillips, Francisco Rodriguez, or Carlos Zambrano. Text least A, B, C, or D to 432 432. I would imagine B is going to get a lot of text tonight.
Was that Brandon?
Yes.
I think our fans have long-term memory.
Well, they remember last week, and that's long enough. That's for certain.
I think you're right.
There's a switch hitter. And this is Coy Hill. 8th place hitter, looks at a strike. Pitcher Diamond on deck, and then Fukudome. And let's see if Westbrook can't just settle in here in the 2nd inning. Pujols is homered tonight. 0-2.
Coy Hill Got 3 catchers on their roster right now. He's got a current 4-game hitting streak.
Reaches for it, and a ground ball to Pujols. Steps on the bag for the first out. Westbrook, when there are no runners on, base is empty, is a guy that works extremely fast. That's why we saw Fukudome step out, and I'm sure that's part of the scouting report. Don't let him get in that kind of groove.
It's the first time he's faced the Cubs, but as you say, advanced scouts. And, they're just kind of read into this that his fielders love to play behind him because he's quick, as you say. He gets ground ball after ground ball. They feel like they're really part of the equation. Sometimes the outfielders are standing around there doing nothing all game.
Pitcher Diamond hits it to short. Brendan Ryan with it. 2 outs. 2 away, and it brings in Fukudome.
He'll take a little time letting his pitcher get back to the dugout and get a little breather.
Francisco Rodriguez was on that list, and he's in trouble with the law. Cincinnati leads 5-0. That's in the bottom of the 4th, and I believe that's against Josh Johnson.
That would be something.
Fukudome 0 for 1 tonight, grounded out to Pujols to start the game.
Josh Johnson is pitching against Volquez.
Edison Volquez, too, had really been fighting his mechanics, we were told, when we were in Cincinnati, and control was starting to become an issue. But tonight he's been given a 5-run lead in the bottom of the 4th.
And Dan, if Johnson made that start, his ERA would be jumping up past Wainwright.
Right. If you haven't heard by now, Johnny Cueto only gets 7 games for his suspension. That's if, by the way, the runs are earned. But right now, 5-0, bottom of the 4th. And we were talking before the game about Cueto and that suspension. Probably only misses 1 start, and that's it.
Yeah, you could put it even into a scenario with an off day. You push him back 1 day, 5 days, and then an off day, and pitching on that 7th day, and it just seemed like that was a little more violent and vicious. That maybe more appropriate was to make sure that he missed 2 starts.
A 3-2 pitch to Fukudome. Takes it on the outside corner. 2-out walk.
Mozeliak was very diplomatic in the pregame show and said, we don't criticize it. And there you see, just a little bit up and away.
And again, I think you should reiterate your point you made earlier, where managers cannot appeal.
Yeah, I mean, both Dusty and Tony have to begin serving their suspension with your next immediate game, and there's no appeal process for a player. Say Cueto would have had to start it today unless he appealed it, and then you wait till a hearing, and usually with the hearing, you wait till you have a little nagging injury, but most of the time when you go have the hearing, it gets reduced by a game or 2, so it's a win-win situation for the player. I would think under this circumstance that I would be very critical if he has any days removed from, through the appeal process.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it would absolutely be ridiculous.
Most players and people that we've talked to, broadcasters and other media that have seen the highlights, and whether they're for the Cardinals, the Cubs, Cincinnati, whoever, they're just shocked that he had his spikes up. And that's where the real problem lies. Cubs strand a runner. It's 2-1 midway through 2. Chicago Cubs, they have really struggled. It's our Toyota keys to the game.
That kind of corresponds with club kind of feeling out of the pennant race, and that's maybe what they're doing right now is interjecting a lot more young players, youthful players, bring a little more energy, but a learning process also.
And the first pitch to Colby is taken for a strike. He had the big blow in Game 3, grand slam.
They've had a couple really blowout games since that time also. Pretty good birthday present Colby gave himself the other day.
No doubt.
His first career grand slam, breaking up a 0-0 ball game.
By the way, Josh Johnson, 4 2/3, 6 runs, 10 hits.
10 hits, 4 earned.
4 of the 6 were earned. Outside, 2-2. And that's outside. Molina's on deck, and you wonder about the reception he'll get in just a few moments.
I don't think I wonder at all. I think it's going to be extremely favorable.
Oh, no doubt.
It's one of the favorites to begin with.
Let's listen in.
Batting 6, number 4, catcher Yadier Molina.
Chance of Yachty.
Got goosebumps? I do.
Yeah. Josh Johnson, ERA is up to 2.27 now.
And Wainwright is 1.99, I think. Well, the other day, Yachty kind of responded in his first plate appearance. And his 5th home run. Now has more home runs in his career against Cincinnati than any other opponent. And his fans never disappoint you. Probably exceed their expectations.
Did mine. There's a base hit. He's back at it again. Another base hit to right field for Molina. Listen to this crowd.
Hit over 360 since the All-Star break. That's tops among National League catchers.
Hearing that reception, I wonder about the first time Brandon Phillips is introduced.
Oh, they won't disappoint me. But just perfect. You throw him down and away. Right now, he's got that little sweet stroke. Just lofts the ball over the infield in front of the right fielder.
Talking with Skip before the game, he's been dealing with that sore wrist. It dates all the way back to the Angels series, a Friday night which Joel Pinheiro made a start. He was diving for a ball at second base, landed funny on the wrist, and it really hasn't been the same since.
Got that injection, and it really did take its full time to
catch by Lee. The Gold Glover doubles up Colby Rasmus. Takes a hit and an RBI away.
Tough base running right there, but you know, you always told don't double up on a line drive, but you take your secondary lead, you false step, and that looked like it was headed to right field, but Derek Lee, a multi-Gold Glove winner, spears that ball, and then his momentum carried him right there, looking at second base for the quick throw.
Jake Westbrook, runner at first. 8th place hitter, and then Brendan Ryan is on deck. Where is Tony La Russa watching this game tonight?
Oh, is it upstairs?
John Mozeliak, is it in his office?
Either one. And there was one time that he was served a suspension. Now, I'm thinking it was in Arizona, where he did sit upstairs. There he is. He's upstairs, and you know that is so tough for him to be away from his ball club.
Popped up to the right side and out of play. Said he was sick to his stomach the night that he was ejected.
Threw up 4 times, according to Jim Hayes, and you know he's always accurate with his reporting.
1-2 pitch. Taken for a ball. 2-2. Big gap in the left center if Westbrook could get into one. Very shallow, the outfield. 3-2.
Jake does have 2 career hits. The last one was against Chris Carpenter.
Molina off with the pitch. There he goes, and Westbrook fouls it back. It's a hot, steamy night here in St. Louis. And yet you see Molina day after day, night after night, behind home plate. Credit to him. With the kind of second half he has started with, he's not fading at all. A walk to Westbrook to bring up Brendan Ryan. Second walk in the inning.
We'll have to talk to the rookie and mention his first big league start. He threw 122 pitches. In that game, he ran up that pitch count with his 10 strikeouts.
PCL All-Star. You mentioned 10th overall pick in 2004. Runners at first and second. And Ryan hits a fly ball into center field. Bird makes the catch. 2-1 after 2 here at Busch Stadium. for St. Louis, the Chief Operating Officer of your St. Louis Rams. Kevin Demoff has joined us here in the booth. Big day tomorrow. Sam Bradford officially making his debut, and you've got Minnesota in town, a team that very well could have gone to the Super Bowl last year. So big night in St. Louis.
Well, we waited until the Cardinals were back in first place for it to be football season. That was the key part, but now the Cards are firmly entrenched. We figured we kick off the preseason the right way with a day-night doubleheader, Cards-Cubs, followed by Rams-Vikings.
Tell us about what we see here on the screen. There are discounted seats, correct?
Well, if you bring your Cardinals ticket stubs from either tonight's game or tomorrow's game, you can get a $40 upper deck ticket for our season ticket price of $25. Just bring your ticket stub to our box office tomorrow afternoon, anytime after 12 o'clock, and we'll get you in the game.
You are 33, and you are the Chief Operating Officer of the St. Louis Rams. How did that all happen for you?
Well, we went 1-15, so that might be the problem.
That opened up the spot.
That opened up the spot, but I was fortunate enough to come here from Tampa Bay to partner with Billy Devaney and Steve Spagnuolo and try to figure out a way to revive this club both on and off the field.
How do you do it? Besides winning?
I think the first way is to reconnect with the fan base and to take the approach of St. Louis is a great sports town, and people care greatly about their teams, and they're passionate about the Rams just as they are about the Cardinals and the Blues. And we've got to figure out a way to re-energize our fan base, and the way we start that is with a young team that plays hard, character players, and it helps to draft some great talent like Sam Bradford, James Laurinaitis, and Jason Smith.
Tell us about Sam Bradford that we can't read in the paper or have heard a soundbite about him, but, people are so excited about him leading this franchise. Tell us about him.
Well, I think if you see him in practice every day the way we have, and I know there's great excitement to see him in a game, he is competitive. He's confident, he's a great leader, and he's a supreme talented quarterback. And I think it'll show up very early, very on. We've been extremely impressed. Everything we've thrown at him, he's been able to handle. He's excelled in the first 2 weeks of training camp. We're excited to get him in a live scenario tomorrow night and see what he has. But I know our fans will rally behind him, and he's just such a great kid.
How much will he play tomorrow?
I think he's not going to start the game. A.J. Feely is going to take the first snap of the preseason, but I think Sam will get in pretty quickly in the first half, and I think he'll play a while.
Strikeout of Derek Lee, first of the night for Westbrook, and that's a strike to Marlon Byrd. Kevin Demoff of the Rams is with us. I know I'm excited, and for anybody that has grown up here seeing the football Cardinals and then the devastation of a team that leaves, and then to have the Rams come here and win a world championship and get to another Super Bowl, it's just an unbelievable feeling. And not to put you on the spot, but how competitive can you be this year?
I think we can be extremely competitive. The way I look at it, quite honestly, is we've improved across the board. And we were competitive in division games last year, and we had a habit of turning some close games into blowouts last year. So I don't know that the scores reflected how close we were, but we played San Francisco tough twice, and the final score didn't represent it, but I think we'll be competitive with them. They know we're a tough game. We played Arizona tough down to the final touchdown, both times we met them. So if we can improve in our division, improve at home, I think that's the first step to being competitive, and I expect we'll compete for an NFC West title this year.
How hard is it to get the fans back when you've had a real frustrating run of 2 or 3 years?
Well, I think, we have great fans. They're passionate, but we haven't done things right on or off the field. I think we alienated a lot of fans in the past. We may have taken them for granted during the winning season, so we've done things. We reduced season ticket prices this year. We've reduced some of our concession prices. We've tried to do things that are more fan-friendly and really get people excited, and hopefully when this team takes off this year and next year as we expect, and we build it with character players. I think one thing St. Louisans always like is they like great players, but they like great people, and that's the Albert Pujols, the Stan Musials, those kinds of players. You need great players who are great character, and we're going to try to build that. We have the James Laurinaitis, the Sam Bradfords, the Jason Smiths. Those are the kinds of people and players we want to build this around, and I think if we build it, I think the fans will come because they are passionate.
When Bradford was announced and then the signing took place, which was right before, or I guess right at training camp, tell me about ticket sales and the excitement around it, because the proof is in the pudding. People are excited, they will buy tickets.
Well, I remember vividly we had 6 draft day parties at Buffalo Wild Wings this year, and you could hear over the radio fans cheering when Sam's name was announced on TV, and we managed to keep it a little bit of a surprise, I guess. But Sam has brought a lot of excitement. we tried the best we could, but everywhere you go now, you see Sam Bradford jerseys. We see him in training camp. We see a lot of people coming from Oklahoma. I think the town, he might be the most hyped arrival in a very long time.
Have a great year. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Dan. We look forward to seeing everybody there after the Cards win
Oh, they're going to play like a defensive back right there. That's as good as it gets. Brendan Ryan from the hole. Kevin Demoff, have a great year. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you very much.
What a play there by the shortstop, Brendan Ryan. 2-1 Chicago. First inning. Let's check out the crowd through the first inning fan cam and see who's enjoying the game. Budweiser, it's what we do. I know you were just behind us, but what a play here by Brendan Ryan.
Yeah, he circles. Look how deep he is, throwing on the run, close, right at the wire. But
boy, it's a good play.
Very nice play. Boy, his defense is back to where it was last year, where we thought it was Gold Glove caliber, and the offense. He had a little rough road trip, but overall, since the second half, it's much improved.
So, top of the lineup. And let's see what the Cardinals can do now. Second time through against Diamond. Two balls and no strikes.
You get the impression that this is not going to be one of these rookie pitchers that just handcuffs the Cardinals. I think they're going to have more success the second time through.
Soriano,
he doesn't see it,
and that'll find the seats. It doesn't matter.
This time of night, we talk about all the time, moving into the night, the lights really have not taken effect, and he's trying to tell his infielders, help me out.
Even Westbrook on a foul ball, you can see him pointing at his eyes and shrugging his shoulders, saying, I can't see it. That's not good. He's a ground ball pitcher. But he's starting to settle in. Upstairs to Lopez.
Felipe only 2 for 24 on the road trip. And 0 for his last 10.
3-2 pitch. And another walk. That's the third of the night for Diamond that he's issued. That will not make Lou Piniella happy one bit. John Jay will be the hitter. Jay struck out swinging his first time up on a pitch that he chased out of the zone. And that's the one thing that we've seen with John Jay. Plate discipline has been very good.
Well, he's just been a very good hitter in every capacity. John Jay on the road trip hit over 400. He's got a 5-game hitting streak, almost over 400, almost 500 during that time. 370 when he starts games. And if you can have that good plate discipline and swing at pitchers' strikes, don't chase balls out of the strike zone, you're just helping your own cause.
This will already be pitch number 40 upcoming for the right-hander, who has recorded 6 outs. Pujols lurking. He's already homered tonight. 1-0 pitch, runner goes. Fouled back, and a good cut by Jay. Cardinals being aggressive. Tony La Russa, not in uniform tonight, serving a 2-game suspension. And a 1-1 pitch to Jay. Hits it the other way. Soriano has to back up on the track and makes the catch. Lopez was not tagging up. And he'll go back to first. In a way, it's not the worst thing either, because then you're talking about first base being open with Pujols out.
But I think right now, I would rather have him out at second base and let them walk Albert. And one of the reasons why you want to do that is Holiday historically has hit the Cubs extremely well.
This season, 5 homers for Pujols and 3 for the rest of the team against Chicago. He has just tore up the Cubs. He had the 3-home run day at Wrigley Field earlier this season. Get close to 400 home runs, you start looking at the longevity of a career and the names on the list of the home runs that he's hit against certain pitchers. Some are in the Hall of Fame. Some will be in the Hall of Fame.
Some are just mediocre.
Yeah. It's always fun to look back.
Oh, yeah.
While we have time, I'll remind you, you can head to FoxSportsMidwest.com and tell us what you think about the suspensions. FoxSportsMidwest.com. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Pujols. Inside.
Albert's hit 14 of his 29 home runs here at home. 311 on the season, 348 at home. And they shade him to pull. Wow, big gap down right field line.
The 3-0. Pujols hits it sharply into center field for a base hit. Two on for Holiday. All of a sudden, Albert is hitting above 310 now.
He's up to 313 and really uses a lot of the field. Yeah, he'll pull, but he hits a ton up the middle. Mentioned that Holiday has hit for a very high average against the Cubs in his career.
There was a look at the Exmo Cam presented by Plaza Tire Service. Here's Holiday. 7 for 12 the last 4 games. He struck out his first time up looking.
He was 7 for 11 in the Cincy series. 500 on the road trip. And has a 7-game hitting streak.
The 0-1 pitch to Holiday. Taken for a ball. Tony watching to see if his team can strike here. Two and one on Holiday. Off speed pitch, catches the corner, and again Holiday doesn't like that strike call. He was upset the first time up.
Looked like the same thing, breaking ball that he thinks a little wide, and so does Foxtrot.
A 2-2. Ooh, good rip.
See, fastball there, just had a little bit of movement to where he couldn't center it. If anything, they shade him slightly to right field in the outfield. Bigger gap out in left center.
Holiday reaches for it, hits it out to left center. This game is at least tied. Pujols on his way to third, held up there. RBI double for Holiday. 2-2.
You know, the Marlon Byrd was shading him a little bit to right field. Does a nice job to cut it off, but a breaking ball, and that's kind of a hanger. Reaches out for it, plunks it, but you're going to pull that ball a little bit, and he doesn't throw hard enough to why they're playing him so far to the opposite field. But we said Marlon Byrd gets over, does a nice job to cut it off, get it back in the infield, but not before the Cardinals tie the game.
You might be doing the Cardinals a favor here.
I don't mind this at all. And Molina, it's been a while since he's come up with the bases loaded, but this season, Yadier tied for fourth in the National League with 15 RBIs in bases loaded situations, 5 for 10. And remember, it started with opening day in Cincinnati when he hit his first career grand slam.
What has been a positive this year, all the walks that Colby Rasmus has taken. And this one, of course, intentional. 7th of the year and 42 this season.
42 this year and 36 all of last year.
Bases loaded for Yadier Molina. That's 4 walks. Enjoy a game from Busch Stadium's most popular all-inclusive area, the Champions Club. Champions Club features an upscale buffet, 2 full-service bars, and a great view of the game from the third base suite level. Tickets available at Cardinals.com. It's early, but he likes August. And he's done some damage this month and 80 games since 2007. Hitting .331. It's really saying a lot about him again with all the innings. Well said.
Interesting that August is Albert's favorite month, and he follows Albert, so it's his favorite month offensively.
With all this heat, and it has been a brutal stretch now here in the Midwest. You'd think a guy like Molina may be wearing down, but that has not been the case.
You just have to marvel that how well he takes care of himself. That day after day, day games after night games, he's out there leading his pitching staff, and now, one of the more prolific hitters.
Taps it foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Single to right, first time up. Cardinals with 4 hits. Chicago with 4 hits. 2-2 game.
We've seen, young Thomas Diamond, that walking the bases loaded may not be the best thing with his control.
3 walks already before the intentional. 2-1 pitch. Molina rips it foul.
Now told me that Thomas's first Diamond's first two starts, he's seen some good breaking balls, and he's seen some not so good breaking balls. Fastball is described as fairly straight and a four-seamer.
A 2-2. On off by Molina.
Good pitch up and in there, but he got a piece of it. Molina struck out a lot more this season than he has in the past, but right now, as he's a little more locked in, he'll foul off a lot of close pitches.
Molina, one of the players that was fined by baseball, along with Brandon Phillips, Russ Springer, and Chris Carpenter for the incident in Cincinnati.
People might wonder about Russ Springer, because we never mentioned his name, period, but he's on the disabled list, and anytime a disabled player goes out on the field for in any kind of a situation, it's an automatic fine. If you're not on the active 25-man roster, it's an automatic fine if you take the field.
Inning started with a walk by Lopez. John Jay fly to left. Single by Pujols. RBI double by Holiday. His 72nd ribby. Intentional pass to Colby. And now 2-2 with the bases loaded for Molina. Yachty hits it out to left. Soriano back. Near the wall. And it's caught. Pujols tags up. Cardinals on top 3-2.
Loads up and just gets underneath it. Out towards the end of the bat. Sends Soriano back. And it's one of those little things, but you wonder why Holiday didn't recognize that that's either going to be caught or it's going to be hit out of the ballpark. Go back and tag up and go to third. It's on the warning track. Get over to third base. Kobe could follow. You stay out of more ways to score from third. Kobe's speed at base hit. If he's at second, he scores on a single.
0-1 pitch to Schumacher. By the way, that is the 76th run by Albert Pujols that he's scored this year. Leads the club.
Dan, the other day Albert had his 10-game hitting streak stopped, but he kept his 10-game scoring streak intact. Now it's up to 11, and he's hit in 11 of the last 12 games.
Double play that Schumacher lined into his first time up. 342 though with runners in scoring position this year. The 2-1 pitch. Hit to the left side. And a forced play at second. They just get Rasmus. Cardinals pick up 2 and they pick up a lead. Molina with his 44th RBI. 30 with Andy Venice and Fred Bird. Made possible by Shriners Hospital for Children. It airs every Saturday, 11:30, right here on Fox Sports Midwest. 3-2. Redbirds on top as we move to the top of the fourth. And Alfonso Soriano will be the hitter. Soriano, Barney, and Hill. Soriano grounded to third his first time up. And he'll look at a strike.
Cardinals want to wish a speedy recovery to a Cardinal group leader at St. Anthony's Hospital. Get well, Al O'Leary.
Reds leading 7-1. That's in the bottom of the sixth. 1-1 pitch. Soriano came in hitting .258. 19 home runs, 59 RBIs. Watch out. Lions into the seats.
These two have to have a history from the American League. How long has Soriano been in the league now?
Seems like a decade ago he was with the Yankees. Was off to Texas. He was part of the A-Rod deal. 1 year with them. He was with Washington. Initially resisted the move to the outfield. And then signed a $136 million deal with Chicago. 2-2 the count.
His first year with the Cubs was 07, and 06 he was with Washington. Texas in 04 and 05.
2-2 to Soriano. Got him to reach. Ground ball to Lopez. His struggles will continue against Jake Westbrook. Just 2 hits in his career. Traveling this season, take the Cardinals with you. Subscribe to MLB.tv. And you can see every Cardinals game live or on demand on your computer. Visit Cardinals.com for details. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere.
Very important game in the National League East. New York beats Philadelphia 1-0.
1-0 pitch. Hit in the air out to center. Off the bat of Barney. Missouri Lottery brings us Fox Tracks and a high pitch here from Westbrook to Barney.
He's not a very big guy. He just called up from AAA yesterday, so guy doesn't look like he has much power, and his numbers in the minor leagues indicate that. There's a guy you would elevate the ball off of and get him to hit a fly ball, especially to center.
Good rip by Hill, and it's fouled back. Hill grounded out to Pujols his first time up, 0 for 1. Off of Westbrook. Can't find it, and a base hit.
It's the first base hit since the first inning. And they're going to check him out, see, make sure he's okay.
Westbrook is pleading his case that he's all right. Unfortunately for him, he just couldn't find it once it hit him. If he could have, probably had a chance to get Hill. Is it off his knee?
It looked like off the knee, but inside part of the knee, but really didn't catch it flush.
Right knee.
Or maybe the calf
below it.
You know, it looked like maybe below it, and he might have turned just enough to get it on the muscle. He's saying he's okay, but just as precaution, he'll take a couple throws. I'm fine. Tony can start breathing now.
Cal Loesch getting a start on Sunday, so this rotation now is starting to all get back pieced together.
That's why you want to make sure it stays intact. And then you feel very comfortable. You know, we're a little bit vulnerable in 4 and 5 with Loesch and also Brad Penny out, and both of them out for basically 3 months. Now you acquire Westbrook, get Loesch back. You feel like you're ready for the stretch run now.
One and two. And a strikeout for Westbrook. Second tonight. He'll lead it off when we come back. Giants and collect a 2010 Cardinals 3x5 banner to show your love of the team. 25,000 fans received this Cardinals banner courtesy of Coke Zero and Walmart. Coke Zero and Walmart. August 20th, Cards Giants. Before the game, Mike Matheny signing autographs in the Ford Plaza. 1987, the Cardinals set a major league record for the longest game without a putout by an outfielder, losing 4-2, 13 innings to the Phils at Busch Stadium. Our Schnooks this date, 1987 in baseball history.
I think those outfielders are saying, why are we even showing up every inning?
Who was pitching?
13 innings and do not record a fly ball out.
Westbrook leads it off, and it's 3-2 St. Louis. And the first pitch is strike. A very hot, steamy, muggy night here in St. Louis. Fans don't seem to mind.
We're seeing great baseball. Cardinals Cubs, what a great rivalry.
Two strikes on Westbrook. In case you were wondering, back in the second inning, that was the second career walk for Jake Westbrook. In the hole here, 1-2. Lines it down the right field line. This could be trouble. That's a fair ball. And a ground rule double for Jake Westbrook.
Helps his own cause, and right there, leadoff double. That could be big. The only thing that would be better with this series is if Ron Santo was here. Santo was on their trip earlier, but because they got in late, looks like a little pitch out away from him, slices it down in the corner, and then it hops into the stands for the ground rule double.
Exmo Cam presented by Plaza Tire Service.
The fellow starting rotation had a little fun with Westbrook's third hit, in case you were wondering.
Second career double.
Apparently Ronnie was in San Francisco, but they got in, late the flight and just wanted to conserve his energy. It wasn't because he was worried about the results. We miss Ron. He's a great part of this rivalry.
Brendan gets it down. Sacrifice will be good. Lee. To the second baseman, Darwin.
Brendan been struggling a little bit of late, but now he can help his cause. But Felipe, who is another struggling bat, see if he can drive in his 31st run. Brendan was 200 on the road trip and mentioned that Felipe Lopez was under 100.
Well, we have Albert Pujols year in, year out, scoring 100+ runs. Jake Westbrook in his career has never scored a run, ever.
Cardinal fans are hoping that that unbelievable stat will come to an end. Coleman is warming up, right-hander for the Cubbies. They also have 7 relief, rookie pitchers, 7 rookie pitchers.
Infield was in, backing up the shortstop Castro, and nowhere to go for Westbrook.
He got a little lucky on that he got a hop as he was backing up. The hop and the ball came up to his glove. He would have been in an impossible situation if that ball would have scooted and stayed on the ground.
Here's John Jay. Pitch that's up and fouled. 0-2 on John Jay, hitting .367. Jay 0 for 2. He has struck out swinging and also flied out to left. Nothing into the count. Jay, center field, base hit. He comes through with a 2-out RBI. Extends the inning to Pujols, who is 2 for 2, and it makes it a 4-2 St. Louis lead. First run for Westbrook.
Since the trade, Cardinal offense was very inconsistent prior to the trade. Since that time, we've gotten a very solid starting pitcher, and the offense is really coming alive. There's no denying the Cardinals desperately needed a good starting pitcher, and they got one in Westbrook. And people kind of wondered about the offense, but everybody has picked it up a notch since that trade.
Buddy Scott Cooper involved in a great charity coming up, the 6th annual Community Living Swing for Kids Classic at the Falls. That'll be on the 27th of this month. Find out more at liveservices.org. Old foul. Scott's done an awful lot for the community with his amateur baseball and also serving as the honorary chair. And with Pujols up, eyeballs on the set, we figured we'd go ahead and promote it. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs and a runner at first. Almost got Pujols, who spins away from it. Pujols hit a home run back in the first to get the Cardinals on the board. That was his 29th. And it was also RBI number 85. And he scored a run after singling in the third. Outfield is deep. Pujols yanks it foul. Look at Fukudome, the right fielder. We don't see many right fielders play this deep, even when a power lefty is up.
And he's looking back to see how much further he can move back.
Two and two on Albert Pujols. Lou Piniella now
might have done him a favor.
Made that decision pretty easy.
Yeah, I think so. It's a full count here. You know, if you got a young battery here, and do you trust them to say, okay, be smart enough to throw a ball off the plate, or do you just throw up 4?
On deck, it's Holiday, who had a double in the third. Also struck out in the first. 3-2 pitch. You know what I'd do?
You gotta be kidding me. You know, Dan, I've only worked you a little more than a decade. You don't even need to ask. I know you already put him on first.
He is locked in right now. You get the feeling maybe Hill is going out saying, look, just don't let him beat you with anything at this point. If we're not going to intentionally walk him, don't put anything in the strike zone.
And by the point, too, that the Cubs are going nowhere. Sure, they've got the pride of this series and they got a responsibility, but how's Lou Piniella going to allow the Cubs coaches and front office to interpret this young man without challenging?
He's going to win the battle here. First time he's retired. Pujols. Cardinals strand a runner, their 5th of the night. But a single by Jay with 2 outs and an RBI. 4-2 as we head to the 5th. Visit Mo.com to start planning your next Missouri getaway. This is the world famous St. Louis Zoo at beautiful Forest Park. Over 18,000 animals from 700 species, many of which are rare and endangered. 90 acres. The zoo, and it's free admission to all guests. Find out more about the zoo at visitmo.com. Pitch by pitch, presented by Chevrolet. It starts with a smash off the bat of Albert Pujols, and then there's other ways to drive in runs too.
Well, we always talk about how today's pitchers primarily pitch you away. You do that to Albert, he'll hit it over the center field wall. But here's a breaking ball out away from Holiday. He gets the key hit there, make it a 1-run lead for the Cardinals. Then that tied it up, and then Jay reaches out there and plucks another ball away, hits it back up the middle. That is what McGuire has preached all season long. Try and take pitches up the middle. Predominantly the pitchers today are going to pitch you out there. So whether it's a breaking ball, fastball, whatever it is, just try to center the ball. Occasionally they'll come inside. You can pull that pitch.
Fukudome back to Westbrook. 0 for 2 with the walk, and that's how we start the fifth. May have had some great seats right here at Busch Stadium, but have you seen the view from the dugout? Experience it by taking a tour of Busch Stadium. For more information, visit cardinals.com/tours. Tour of Busch Stadium.
Gee, Dan, that's something you ought to start offering.
We have a lot of people that enjoy the visits to the booth. Here's Castro, who has singled and scored. Cubs jumped out to a 2-0 lead after a half inning. Castro has also popped out to first, and Albert Pujols. You've had a chance now to take in 2.5 games of Jake Westbrook in a Cardinal uniform. Give me your assessment.
Comes as advertised. Ground ball specialist. Veteran pitcher, good competitor, goes out there and challenges. Struck out a few more the first 2 times than what has here tonight. But you get ground balls, you're going to win in this game. Don't walk. People, don't give those free passes. He has 1 walk on the night, but he's been good in that department. Keep the ball in the ballpark. You'll win behind the Cardinal offense.
2-2. He's got that great sinking action, and he'll give you different looks and how he delivers to the plate.
Yes, and it's late movement. It kind of explodes as it's coming to the plate.
2-2. Struck him out. Strikeout number 3 for Jake Westbrook.
Just watch this. Real late, little tailing action. Just a little slightly dipping out of that swing plane.
Derek Lee nearly hit by the pitch.
It's a breaking ball that just kind of just didn't pull down on it. Just kind of cast that pitch. Coleman continues to warm up, so you wonder if Diamond's night is through.
And it's hit to short, charging. He's playing deep, Brendan Ryan, and the Cubs go 1-2-3 here at the top of the fifth. Holiday, Rasmus Molina coming up. 4-2, St. Louis. The Cards and Cubs tomorrow. That's presented by Sprint. And that game will be seen at 3 Central. Cubs and Cardinals, Fox Saturday Baseball. And a new pitcher is in. This is Casey Coleman. 4th appearance. 23-year-old was selected by the Cubs in the 15th round of 2008. With a career-high 3 innings of work on Sunday. It was against Cincinnati. Also 2 1/3 against Milwaukee, and most recently against San Francisco, an inning. And 1 strikeout and no hits.
You know, remember Joe Coleman? Cardinal pitching coach?
Yeah.
This is his son. And of course now it's a 3 generation.
Yeah, 3 generations.
And his grandfather Joe also played professionally from 65 to 79.
There's a broken bat, fair ball. The bat carries all the way out to shortstop, and safe at first is Holiday on a bad throw by the third baseman.
Was the throw pulled him off, or was he juggling the ball? Lee at first base, but I thought that he stayed on, but apparently he was juggling the ball. We couldn't see it, but that's what the umpire saw, and a good call. Have not ruled on that yet. It's hard to believe.
Cardinals are stuck right now at 5 base hits, still waiting for the ruling, and here is Colby Rasmus. Colby tonight, a pair of walks. Short lead at first by Holiday. That's outside.
Casey Coleman was selected from AAA prior to that August 2nd 18-1 setback and made his major debut in that game. So obviously you know why he's got the high ERA. He yielded 6 runs on 8 hits and 2 walks, fanning 1 and 2 1/3 innings. But he came back and pitched well the 1, 2, 3, 7th inning yesterday, and Sunday pitched a career high 3 innings.
Two and 1 the count.
He's only 23 years of age, 15th round draft selection in the 2008 draft, and now it's ruled an error by Blake DeWitt.
And that's hit out of play.
I think that's the correct scoring.
7-2, top of the 8th. Cincinnati leading their ball game. Two, just missed. Some believe that you wouldn't have Ryan Sandberg for the remainder of this season because it would be unfair to him. You know, what if the team is no good down the stretch, and some fans, and it can be a crazy fan base, look at that as a reflection of what might be with him. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that.
I think you should be able to, if you're a good Chicago Cub fan, you can separate that and understand. Basically, he'd be managing his team.
Yeah.
The Iowa team is well represented right now here with the Chicago Cubs.
And that's a walk to Rasmus. So an error and a walk. And it brings up Yadier Molina, who's heard an awful lot from the crowd tonight. Rasmus's third walk. Cardinals have received 5 tonight.
6 hits, an error, and 5 walks.
Molina, 2-time Gold Glove winner, 2-time All-Star, World Series winner, catches day in and day out, and having a tremendous second half here in 2010. With an RBI tonight, now with 44. He's also single. Average has jumped up to 257. One pitch. Molina shoots it foul.
There's a little cool air when you're standing right in that runway.
Best place in the park,
yeah. Well, unless
I love that place.
Where you can still see, see what's going on. Probably wouldn't even be that high on the steps if it wasn't the potential to bat this inning.
Ooh, high pitch, and he swung right through it.
Father was a pitching coach for Joe Torre.
Joe Torre has removed Jonathan Broxton as the closer of the Dodgers. Not sure if that will be permanent, but at least at this point in time, felt he needed to change things up, and he's done so. Team I can't figure out, the Rockies.
Why they haven't played better?
Saw them. It just seemed like a team that was poised to make another run like they have before. They start play tonight only 4 games above 500 and 8.5 games behind San Diego.
They played very well at home. They're 17 games over 500 at home, but 13 games under 500 and on the road.
Big series with San Diego and San Francisco tonight. Richard against Jonathan Sanchez. Padres have hung in there with their great pitching. They've got a good bullpen. They've added to their everyday lineup with Tejada and Ludwig. They've got Adrian Gonzalez in there. Eckstein, even though he's been hurt, has provided an awful lot of leadership. They say he's the captain of that team.
It's a good man to follow.
Little floater out to left, and Soriano will make the catch. Time now for our trivia question with 2 outs and 2 on. Presented by AT&T, who are the last 5 players other than Colby to hit their first career Grand Slam on their birthday. Here's a list of the 5. Colby and Javier, 1961.
The Ghost. Couldn't hit him at second base. Nobody could try to take him out on a slide, as he was there for the force out and was gone.
And there's a strike to Westbrook, 1-2. A swing and a miss. Westbrook strikes out first of the night and inning for Coleman. 5 in the books. It's 4-2.
On this date in baseball, 1979, Lou Brock reached 3,000 hits, a milestone with a line drive off of Dennis Lamp's pitching hand. Tried to knock him down the preceding pitch, and then Lou rifles one right back off. Look at the carom. And he gets his 3,000th hit. And look at Dennis Lamp as he's shaking the hand, his pitching hand. That was one of my regrets, Dan, that I wasn't a teammate of Lou Brock when he got to that milestone. I saw him probably 400 or 500 stolen bases and a whole bunch of hits, but I didn't see the magical 3,000. First ballot Hall of Famer Lou Brock.
What a teammate he must have been for you, too.
He was, Gibson probably taught me more, was probably the biggest influence on my pitching career, but Lou Brock was so generous and so kind to me and helped me with a lot of things, and what an outstanding man, and I like to consider him still a very good friend.
Absolutely. Here's Marlon Byrd, and Byrd has an RBI single, 2 RBIs and a broken bat back in the first, and he's also grounded to second. You'll have a busy day over at the Ballpark Saloon tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got with myself, 13 ex-Cardinals will be over there signing autographs, and what we'll do is everybody it'll be one price. You can buy a baseball, and we'll all sign it for one price, all for charity, for Little Patriots, and also we're teaming up with the Marines. Rhino, Colonel Tomko is going to send over a Humvee with a big gun on it. He's going to send 4 different Marines, a couple guys. Hopefully we're going to bring some weapons without ammo, Dan.
Starting to scare me about this fundraiser.
And a couple of them, they're dressed blues. Nice play by Jake. But, Andy Bennis will be there. John Mabry, Pagnazzi, Kerry Robinson, just right on down the line. Dal Maxfield.
What time does it get going?
This autograph will be around 1:30 to 2:30. It's the 3:15 start. We'll have a silent auction, raffles, tickets, and really the whole thing will start about 11:30. But the signing will be about 2:30, 3:30. Can't thank the guys enough. You mentioned Cooper, and some of those guys have other endeavors. There's a big Cardinal contingency that are out of town. A lot of those guys said they'll help us out in the future, but can't say enough about 13 guys going to be there tomorrow signing autographs for Little Patriots Embraced, and also our Toys for Tots Christmas in August. We'll raise some funds for the Marine Corps too.
That'll be good.
There's some of our servicemen.
For people that don't know about Little Patriots, what is that?
Well, they really, you know, it's a national foundation, and they really try to help out the deployed military families. Right now we have over 3,300 requests for a little care package. They developed this bear where it really has a, you know, for all the people that overseas. And there's a little backpack on there where you can put mom or dad's picture, so you can take mom or dad with you all the time as your loved ones are, you know, are deployed. And just trying to make these kids realize that they're missing their families all the holidays. And then there's emotional and financial support if it's really needed for these families.
So quickly, 2 outs. Here's Soriano, and again, that'll be at Al's Ballpark Saloon tomorrow. Ryan Dempster, Kyle Loesch for us locally, 12:30 on Channel 5 with Rick Horton and Jay Randolph. It's presented by Budweiser. What's on tap? Dempster, 10-8. Kyle Loesch back in the rotation at 1-4. And his last outing in the minor leagues was quite impressive.
And with 7 innings, over 101 pitches. So he feels he's ready, and a bit optimistic when he was thinking that it was only going to be 2 starts. I think the Cardinals and I'm sure Kyle feel a little bit better now, making 4 starts, and now he's ready to take on the Cubs.
1 ball, 1 strike on Soriano. Quiet tonight. He's 0 for 2. They have just done that time and again since Soriano came to the National League. It's that breaking ball, and you'll see him many times chase that pitch out of the zone.
He has such an explosive bat when he makes contact, but a lot of times you can get him to swing wildly. Like there's an indication when he can make contact, as they didn't get that breaking ball out far enough away from him.
Ball just jumps off his bat. Westbrook missed his spot with that pitch. It was up and over the middle of the plate. Molina had set up about a half foot outside.
That's what I'm saying. You know, you hit your spots, and when you get ahead of him, you get him to chase. But you make a mistake, he's lightning quick if you throw a strike.
A little bit high.
And then every now and then you got to keep him honest. You throw a fastball and you try to get him to chase there. He wouldn't do so.
He's hitting 167 against the Cardinals this year. Fly ball down the right field line. Jay is over, out of room.
He's had 1 home run and 2 RBIs in 24 plate appearances against Cardinal pitching.
Misses outside.
Like 3 straight fastballs, and Westbrook had that Tommy John surgery, but he's getting stronger.
Slicing out of play.
4 straight fastballs, but still can't get around on it. 3-2. You don't want to walk anybody even with 2 outs, but now you think of breaking ball and fastball away again.
And that time he connects with a base hit. Soriano with his first hit tonight, 1 for 3. 2-out base hit. And coming up after the game, Cardinals Live from the Aqua Bar at Lumiere Place Casino. Player interviews, Tony La Russa. Hey, we're not sure, will he be a part of it or not? Who steps in?
Teeny, maybe.
Pat Paris, Rick Horton, we know those 2 will be there. It's U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live after the game right here on Fox Sports Midwest.
I'm sure Tony would be more than happy to pass that assignment on to Joe.
Darwin Barney.
Doesn't look like a big guy, and his numbers mentioned last time he flew out to center field, and kind of looks like a guy that you want to make him hit the ball in the air. Doesn't look like he has any power. Always respect him, but joined the club yesterday. He only had 2 home runs in AAA, just a shade under 300, 24 doubles, 4 triples, 2 home runs.
And it's popped up, out of play.
24-year-old selected by the Cubs in the 4th round of the 07 draft out of Oregon State University. Helped the Beavers to back-to-back College World Series championships in 06 and 07.
There he is, already in the major leagues.
And was Team USA gold medal winners in the 06 World Games.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Darwin Barney. Right field, slicing foul.
Hawksworth is warming up for the Cardinals.
To wonder how deep these pitchers can go with the weather the way it is.
He's at 102 pitches, so probably his last inning of work. Factor in the heat element.
And he'll get a ground ball, bobbled to first with time. Brendan Ryan stays with it. Midway through 6, 4-2 St. Louis, and Brendan leads it off when we come back. To learn more, visit Kia.com. By Lumiere Casino. Every time the Cardinals win, the next day get a free buffet with a purchase of one at the kitchen at Lumiere Place. Visit My Choice for details. And by Taco Bell, open 2 a.m. or later. 4-2 on a hot, steamy night here in St. Louis. Cardinals lead it. Game 1 of 3 between the Cards and Cubs. We'll see the Cubbies in September, a month from this weekend. Preliminary schedule for next year as the Cubs coming to St. Louis 3 times, with all 3 of those times being weekend series. Little flare into right, and the catch is made by Fukudome. 6, a serious number. When the Cardinals score 6, you get a 20-ounce coffee, fountain, or frozen drink for just $0.25. The next day at On the Run at Mobile. Win or lose, Cardinals score 6, you score 25-cent drinks at On the Run. Felipe Lopez and then John Jay. Lopez has walked and scored. Fly to left and also grounded out to short. One pitch, 1-2. Second inning of work for Coleman.
Cincinnati has posted their victory 7-2, so the Cardinals need to win to stay a game up.
1-2. And a strikeout for Lopez.
Hello, El Tiante there.
That's 3 for Coleman. And an inning and 2/3 as we head back to our text poll. And again, the Reds will be here September 3rd, 4th, and 5th in St. Louis. Brandon Phillips, the player that you like the least, U.S. Cellular text poll. And good seats are available for the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. Reds in town, and that's a weekend series. And that Friday night, Cardinals have added a fireworks night. Also a weekend half-price night. Let's get a look at Carlos Zambrano.
It's disappointing. He only finished second.
For the longest time, he was public enemy number 1. Three and 0. On deck, Pujols, John Jay with an RBI base hit back in the 4th.
It's like Hawksworth continues to warm up, so I think Westbrook is probably through.
John Jay off the end of the bat. And a fly ball into right. Fukudome puts it away. 4-2. Redbirds on top after 6. As the bullpen relievers have allowed 117 walks. That's second fewest in the National League.
That's so important. As a staff, the relief corps is 15-17 with 3.71 ERA. They've converted 73% of their saves. They got 55 holds. They retired the first batter 65% of the time and 32% inherited runners.
So Hawksworth takes over after an impressive start by Westbrook, and we began our telecast telling you about Westbrook in very fine starts, but yet the bullpen couldn't make it stick. And the first pitch is a strike to Hill. Underway here in the 7th inning. Hawksworth has been a guy that has in the bullpen, starting rotation, and now back in the bullpen. No balls and 2 strikes.
Made 7 starts. Went 3-3 with an ERA at 5. This will be his second relief outing since August the 2nd.
How tough is that on a pitcher to
Very tough.
have to make that transition? I mean, people look at it and say, well, what's the big deal? You're pitching. But from your point of view, moving around in this season, not beginning the year as a starter, but thrust into that role and then now back as a reliever.
Well, I was going to say the tougher part is waiting 13 days or 11 days to pitch in between relief appearances, because you go out there and you're trying to find the strike zone, let alone making quality pitches. This is Xavier Nady, who coming back from Tommy John surgery, but only 4 home runs, but he's had big time power. Really never showed in any season, but he's been around a while because of that power. First time I saw him, he was a Double-A.
Here's the 0-1 pitch to Nady. A little bit in. Three and one. And he chops it left side. Lopez cuts it off and makes the play. 2 outs.
Nice play there. That third baseman, anything he can get to, it's his responsibility. And a little easier play for him to cut that ball off than the hard charging Brendan Ryan coming in, and most definitely an off balance throw almost on the swinging bunt.
Let's take it for a ball low. Kosuke Fukudome 0 for 2 with a walk. That walk was back in the second. He was left stranded.
Justin Berg warming up. He's a right-hander. He'll come in here. So Coleman works for a little rocky start. 2 successful innings, just 1 walk. Bird.
Lopez again, and it's time to stretch. Pujols, Holiday, Rasmus coming up 4-2. Hyundai long drive inning sweepstakes. If the Cardinals hit a home run in the 7th, this inning, Dave Danielson qualifies for the Hyundai Sonata drawing in September. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer. By the way, the final line on Westbrook, very good one. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 3 strikeouts, and he has a chance to pick up his first Cardinal win. Hardy's prime cut, no surprise here. Albert Pujols, home run number 29 in the first.
29 and just keeps on hitting. Another multi-hit game for Albert. He'll be facing the right-hander, Justin Bird. He was a member of the opening day roster and then optioned to Iowa on May 21st, recalled on July 5th. He's retired the first batter 24 times in his first 30 outings. 0-1. ERA under 5, no saves. Attended Tryon Junior College in River Grove, Illinois.
First pitch to Pujols. Underway here in the bottom of the 7th. If the Cardinals can hold on, Westbrook has his first win, and the Cardinals stay in front of Cincinnati by a game. Cincinnati, big winners tonight over Josh Johnson and the Marlins. There is a silver lining in a win by Cincinnati, is that Johnson is roughed up, meaning that Wainwright stands alone, I believe, now atop the ERA list.
Should be. He was 1.99.
Popped up to the right side, and Lee runs out of room. Where's Roy Halladay? That's the other one that
I think he's a little bit above that too. I think he's over 2, but that might have been prior to his last outing. And look at Adam now as he's making a run for that Cy Young again.
Almost hit Pujols.
Johnson is 197 coming in. Wainwright was second. Halladay's down to 4th. Hudson 224. Halladay 234. So Adam, the top of the National League ERA leaders, is tied with Jimenez with 17 wins. Strikeouts, he's 3rd behind Halladay and Lincecum.
That's a base hit for Pujols and a 3-hit night. Leadoff single. He's got a home run and a pair of singles. This season, easier than ever to find the seats that you want or sell tickets to the games that you can't make on StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals. You'll find great seats, great service on StubHub all season. Just head to StubHub.com and choose your seats today.
That's the 3rd hit for Pujols. He now has 534 career multi-hit games. Halladay he leads the club with 35 multi-hit games. And he's 1 for 3 in the night.
Two balls, one strike. Holiday rips it fair. Soriano over to get it. Backhands it before it heads into the corner. Holiday digging into second with his second double tonight. Third time he's been on base. Pair of doubles. He also reached on an error.
Cardinals are hoping to break open this ball game, and Holiday and Pujols have to lead the way. This is down the third base line. Lake DeWitt dives for it, can't come up with it. Albert, he gets over to third. Soriano, the converted second base, but not noted for his defense. But one thing he is usually high on is assists, because a lot of people don't expect him to try to take extra bases against him, and he does have a strong throwing arm, and he'll throw some people out.
Nobody out. Chance for Colby. He's been on base 3 times with 3 walks. First time in his career that he's walked 3 times in a game. Two and 0. Berg is struggling right now in his 5th full season in the Cubs organization. Part of the Matt Lawton deal in 2005. Two and 1. Full count. One of the best moments of the night for folks that have just tuned in. Ovation for Yadier Molina, first time that he stepped to the plate. It was loud and long. Standing ovation.
Expected he would get overwhelming support, but I got goosebumps.
Oh yeah, me too. He's on deck. Infield is drawn in. The 3-2. And he walked him. Ball gets away. And easily scoring Albert Pujols. Four walks tonight for Colby Rasmus.
It is hot, but that's a little lazy, just a pass ball. As that ball didn't even bounce, and
so a single, a double, a walk, and Berg has given up a run to make it 5-2.
Just another reason why you appreciate Yachty. Keep that concentration in this kind of heat, and he's catching every single day, where Hill can't say that. Their conference with Oquendo. And he walks back to the plate. Larry Rothschild went out to visit Berg.
We were talking about Chase Utley the other day and the fact that he could return for Philadelphia. Matter of fact, he's going to go on a rehab assignment tomorrow. Playing a minor league game at Clearwater. How about that?
He said he would defy the odds and he'd come back sooner. And they sure do miss him.
Phillies are 2 games out behind Atlanta. Atlanta will miss Chipper Jones.
Atlanta wins today 1-0. And that's what the Phillies lost by to the Mets.
So 3 out.
And what MCL for Chipper?
Yep. Made a great play too, and then So he landed funny, playing third base, and tore his ACL.
That could be his career.
And he was already talking about retirement even when he was healthy. One ball, one strike on Molina. Runners at the corners. Now there's so much discussion about Pujols finishing his career as a Cardinal. What about a guy like Molina, and a guy that is, he's not Albert Pujols, of course, but very important to this organization.
A real fan favorite. It's really such a tough, demanding position. And you know, he's 28 years of age now. You know, he's in great shape now, but this, you know, I don't think he can get any slower. But you know, your knees just take such a toll, and you know, would he accept a backup role down the, you know, down the road? It's probably one of the questions, but there's no doubt. And you go back to what Mike Matheny was telling you, that Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan put tremendous responsibility and pressure on their catcher, and they absolutely love Yachty.
2-2 the count. Fought off by Molina. Pitch right there is one that, when he wasn't going right, tied him up, and he struck out a lot. And he's just a guy that doesn't strike out all that much when he's going the way that we've seen him the last couple of years.
He's got a pretty good hitting coach, too.
Old buddy Albert. 2-2. Molina with a fly ball.
Should be deep enough.
Holiday will tag up. Here comes a throw by Fukudome. Back into the infield. Holiday scores. Redbirds on top 6-2. RBI number 2 on the night for Molina. Both have been sac flies, and he's driven in 45 this year.
Fukudome, a very good outfielder, and did the right thing. You know, keeping the double play in order. Try and make the miraculous throw. You probably are not going to be able to do it and get him out, but then you start the merry-go-round as, you know, Rasmus gets himself into scoring position.
And a ground ball hit to the right side. Out at second. And we'll say that is an out.
In the act of throwing, he reached in to extract the ball, so that constitutes the force out at second.
Now, we were talking about R.A. Dickey earlier. I mentioned him being a former Texas Ranger who has reinvented himself with the Mets. He throws the one-hitter, and that's the 32nd one-hitter in Mets history. Remember, they don't have a no-hitter.
Never had a no-hitter, but quite a few. Would you say 32nd?
32nd one-hitter.
One-hitter. And Randy Wynn now will pinch hit. He's been in a little bit of a tailspin. He's over his last 13. Real class act, and you know, that veteran presence that he's never played. He's at the most active games of any player without ever reaching the postseason. Everything about him is good, and he would like to get that monkey off his back.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, runner at first.
1,677 games without playoff experience, the highest active streak in the major leagues. It's one of those stats you don't want to be a part of.
The 1-1. Win, a fly ball into center. Marlon Byrd is there and puts it away. 2-run score to make it 6-2, and Salas getting loose in the pen. presented by Mass Mutual. Damage done by Pujols and Holiday, both with 5 hits, extra base hits as well. Well, Colby, what's he done tonight? No hits, but, well, 4 walks. That helps. Molina 1 for 2, a couple of RBIs, and it's all added up to a 6-2 Redbird lead. Fernando Salas into the ballgame.
Salas, 5th time he's been recalled. Picked up his first career hold. That was on Tuesday with an inning and 2/3 shutout work. Fan 3 during that time. Those are his numbers here at the big league level. And in between those 5 stints, he's 1-0, 18 saves, 2.50 ERA in 31 games for Memphis.
Starlin Castro. It's another sellout tonight. 44,546. 45546. Castro in the air to right center. Colby is there and makes the catch in front of Jay.
That's Colby's ball all the way in. But, you know, if Jay doesn't hear him, he's got to come in. And if Colby's calling it, you got to vacate the area. See, he's calling it. And really, Jay didn't really hear it until the last second. Or
Lee falls behind, 0-2. Doubled and scored in the first. Called out on strikes in the third and also grounded out to short.
mentioned that he was reinstated from the bereavement list today. This isn't quite the same hitter we've seen in the past. His father was a Cardinal farmhand, and his uncle was a teammate of mine with the Cardinals, Leron Lee, and his dad, Leon Lee.
0-2 the count. We're in the top of the 8th, 6-2. Check swing, and he did not go. 1-2 the count.
And his father went over to Japan, very productive, and then really came back with a lot of Japanese contacts, and has helped out bring a lot of the different players from the Japanese league over to the United States. Been instrumental in that help. And his uncle Leron Lee ended up marrying a Japanese woman. Leron was a big help at the beginning of my career.
Derek Lee was a terrific basketball player growing up and had the decision to make whether to play baseball or accept scholarship to play basketball. He had opportunities all over the place.
And right-handed pitcher Tyrell Jenkins, Cardinals supplemental first-round pick, 50th pick overall, made that good decision. He gave up playing quarterback for Baylor to sign with the Cardinals today.
Pretty much in most deals now, the agents will get where the clause where the club will pay for college if it doesn't pan out. So one way or another, they can get their education. 2-2 is hammered out to deep left. Left it over the middle of the plate, and it's gone. 6-3. 13th of the year for Derek Lee.
You see a replay of this, you might see it look like Salas slipped on his follow through. But boy, this was right down the middle, and Lee, even though it's only his 13th, he's down in his power numbers, but there was no missing that pitch. Talking about centering a baseball, well, that's what it looks like when you do so.
There's Bird.
Right there, big man gets his arms extended, and just no doubt about that one when you heard the crack of the bat or you saw the flight of the ball.
Lee with that swing, strike 2. Just do not get away with those pitches at this level.
And I kind of thought that his foot slipped a little bit when he hit his landing spot and just couldn't finish it off the way he wanted to, and just left it right in the wheelhouse. Very much a sinker slider type pitcher. Proven that he'll throw strikes, not afraid up here.
Inside, 2-2. No activity in the Cardinals bullpen, and it's 3-2. Last thing you want to see is Salas get unnerved here, and Dave Duncan may waste no time letting this get out of control if he can't get it back together following the home run.
Now there is activity as Kyle McClellan begins to throw.
3-2 pitch. Bird strikes out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. And a ground ball that Albert backhands, underhands to Salas. Home run by Lee, cuts it to 6-3 midway through 8.
Is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. and by AT&T Mobility. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. Well, we move to the bottom of the 8th. Cardinals have a 6-3 lead. Cardinals have only 7 hits, but are getting a lot of walks. Chicago has 3 runs on 1 hit. And they've committed the only error of this ball game. Brendan Ryan is 0 for 3. Excuse me, 0 for 2. He had a sacrifice. And Berg for another inning of work. Brendan takes that pitch for strike 1. Berg, part of that Matt Lawton deal, originally signed with the Yankees. And Brendan, this little slider bounces it to Blake DeWitt and on over to Lee, first out. Ryan Franklin is throwing. As long as this is a save opportunity, he will probably come in and finish it up.
For people that might be wondering, Joe Patini is the acting manager. And, of course, Tony La Russa suspended for tonight. But you have a situation where Dave Duncan will handle.
Totally run the pitching staff.
Right.
And then Patini will, kind of make the other moves. But in many ways, it works out very well because Dave can go out there on a pitching change and impart his knowledge. We would assume that would happen, in the game that Tony was thrown out in Cincinnati. Of course, we saw a double switch. So Patini went out and talked to the umpire as Duncan went out to make the pitching change. And I really do believe that even though you're suspended, you are the official manager, and so any games that you sit out, it goes on your career mark. Not because you're really not an interim manager, you're just a substitute manager for a game or two. Lippy's had a tough night.
Logical question, I think, for some would be, why not Jose Oquendo?
And I think, it's real simple, is because Patini's your bench coach. Oquendo stays at his normal job, but, I'm sure there's no jealousies down there. Everyone is open game to consult. And Patini's smart enough to, to reap the benefit of everyone's knowledge. But, Joe Patini has managed many a year in the minor league systems, too, as well as Oquendo, in winter ball or World Baseball Classic, and he did, manage a little bit in the farm system. Matter of fact, when Tony first took over, he asked Oquendo to be on the staff, and he said, "No, I want to stay down with the kids." And then Tony asked him again, and Jose said, I got away with it the first time. I think I'd better come up here. And I think it's been, Jose is very happy that he did.
Strike to John Jay. Fans that have stuck around are saying, come on, John, get on base one more time. Albert Pujols on deck. Behind him.
I don't think there's an intent, but everybody does kind of look out and say, well, what's that all about? But I think the ball just got away. Maybe part of that factor is to bring up Albert.
Three-two pitch to John Jay. Hits it to third. Albert. They stay with it. Safe is Jay.
will bet you he hustles all the way out of the batter's box. Put your head down, just run. And it pays off. Second error by Blake DeWitt. And you do get your wish if you've stuck around. You do get to see another Albert Pujols at bat. Albert, 3 hits tonight, 3 for 4, average up to 314. Second in home runs, first in RBIs, and amongst the league leaders with his batting average. Kind of get the feeling there's rain all around us. Rain delay in Kansas City. Same thing with Chicago.
A 1-0 pitch inside to Pujols.
That usually wakes up Albert. Albert's such a good hitter, not afraid to hit the head or particularly behind the count. He was looking for something other than that low breaking ball, so he just rocked back on it. Albert tonight pretty much been hitting the ball up the middle.
The 2-1 pitch. Pujols with a high fly ball. Right center. That'll stay in the ballpark. And we head to the ninth. St. Louis 6. Chicago 3. Franklin coming on. Championship for the Redbirds. Cincinnati began a game and a half out. Chicago was 13 out. Now this year, St. Louis at the present time could be a game before it's all said and done. Cincinnati half team out. They won tonight. Chicago 17 out. Similarities of 06, 2010.
Very similar in even not only the standings but even the numbers.
Very much so.
Ryan Franklin picked up his 20th save on Tuesday in Cincinnati. He ranks third in the National League with save percentage, 91%. 11th in saves, 20 out of 22. Now he's fifth on the all-time saves list with 76.
And this is Alfonso Soriano, 6-3. here in the 9th inning.
Cardinals trying to win the 12th time in their last 14 home games.
Home record would improve to 39-18.
21 games over 500. Already at a season high 15 games over 500. Movie to 16. Really don't care what Cincinnati does as long as you post a win.
One 2 pitch to Soriano and a swing and a miss. We've got the postgame show coming up. Cardinals Live. Pat Paris, Rick Horton will be from the Aqua Bar, Lumiere Place Casino. Get the reaction of the players from earlier today and suspensions and fines handed out from the brawl against Cincinnati. And here is Darwin Barney.
His knee is buckling.
Temperature has dropped a little bit here in the last few minutes.
Yeah, we're talking about the rain around the area and get this game in, and then I think everybody would like to give their sprinklers a little rest or their watering hoses. Let Mother Nature help out.
Been blistering here in the Midwest.
Even with the sprinklers, it seems like you're out there taking care of the flower beds and grass and whatnot.
Two balls and a strike. Hard hit to short. Nice pick by Brendan Ryan with those soft hands. He made a dazzling play earlier. Let's turn to our player of the game. Jake Westbrook looking for his first Cardinal victory, and he's our Budweiser player of the game. 6 innings, 6 hits, couple of runs. Both were earned in the first. Walked 1 and struck out 3.
And that's 3 starts for Westbrook. All 3 quality starts. And appears with 1 more out, he'll get his first National League win.
Fans on their feet. Here is Hill with 2 outs. 45,000 plus. Many have stuck around. Cardinals trying to go to 65 and 49. 16 games above the 500 mark. Ground ball, this should do it. Schumacher is there. 2 Albert. Cardinals take game 1 of the weekend series against the Cubs. Postgame show coming up.